My name is Tom Cooper. I'm a leadership speaker, trainer, and coach. Welcome to the first video in our Hotshot to Head Honcho series. Now, as we get started, I want you to imagine a future. In this future, you have the people, the time, and the tools to do the work you have trained to do. In this future, people really value your contributions, and they listen to what you have to say. Now, what's great about this future is you get to work in the place that is the most rewarding, right at the edge of your capabilities, where you discover new possibilities and you achieve more than you ever thought possible. Is that a fantasy land? Is that impossible? Well, I cannot promise perfection, but I can tell you that it is really possible to make that happen. Now, in today's video, what we're going to focus on is what HR does not tell you. You see, there are three areas, three competencies, not just one. So I remember going back to my days when I first started as a technical professional working for a Fortune 500 company. Now, in those days, I genuinely believed if I did a good job, if I kept my head down and I worked hard, that I would be rewarded, that I'd be recognized, and I'd be promoted. And I went for years believing that was true. And what's interesting about it is that actually worked. Well, sort of. I mean, the first year I dug in and I learned more about the technology. I delivered my part of the projects, and at the end of that year, I got a raise. So the next year, what did I do? More of the same. I dug in deeper. I learned more about the technology. I applied those new technologies, and I took those technologies to new projects. And I got another raise. And this pattern repeated for a few years. But over time, I started to see something odd happening. I noticed that other people were getting leadership roles, and apparently, I wasn't even considered for those. So how'd they pick that person to be the manager? In fact, I remember getting upset about lesser skilled people, people who were not as technically talented as I was, that were moving ahead. And I'm not proud of it, but I remember thinking, how could the boss pick that bozo to run the team? That guy be the manager? That guy couldn't manage his way out of a paper bag. Now, as technical professionals, what is it we normally say when we see things like this happening? Politics. Ugh. I refuse to lower myself to sucking up to the boss the way that guy does. All that schmoozing and game playing. Why can't we just focus on what's really important, the technical discipline? Well, what's worse is what worked in year 1, in year 2, in year 3, well, after a few years, it sort of seemed to stop working. All the skill and technical discipline in the world, it only takes you so far. Now, you know that's true. I mean, think about this. Do you know that guy? You know that guy. He's the one who's smarter than everybody else. Maybe she's a project manager, and she knows down to the day or the hour whether her projects are over budget or under budget, but she just can't seem to get anybody to move. Or maybe it's this incredible programmer, and he's able to do amazing things in the crunch situations, but he really can't be bothered to deal with lesser mortals who don't appreciate his talents. Or maybe she's the accountant that finds just incredible ways to balance the books, but when she starts talking, she sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher to everybody who's not a brilliant accountant like she is. Wah, 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 wah. Well, if the company rewards people for things other than technical talent, what is it? What does the company reward? Now, I want to be clear. I'm really not talking about you becoming the CEO. You probably don't want that, and the company may not want you to do that either. What I'm talking about is finding ways to expand your influence. It's about getting the things you need from the organization. Maybe it's cooperation from other departments. How about funding from the big bosses? Maybe you need more team members or better tools. All of the things you need to do the absolute best job possible. So how can you become that person who gets, the one who gets the A players on your project team? How can you be the person who gets the equipment the company really needs to secure the network? Or how could you become the person that you just the one who gets the time to do the projects well, as opposed to having to throw something together in time to meet the published schedule. I mean, we've certainly seen those projects. They meet the deliverables, but then they have to be torn down and rebuilt. Well, there's a key secret to being able to get those resources. And here's the deal. This is a theme we're going to come back to. Your pay is commensurate with the business value you bring to the organization. And when you begin to understand the business, why they need those technical skills that you bring, you take on a whole new dimension of value for the company. You see, very few people make it their way to understand the business of business. Most people are content to learn only their area of expertise. So what's the secret? When I learned the secret, I took advantage of it, and it really propelled my career forward very quickly. And I began to teach it to people on my team, and some of them applied it to their benefit too. Now, unfortunately, many of them didn't. They were content to take what they could get. So I'll say it again. Your pay is commensurate with the business value you add to the organization. Now, the company does not give the biggest rewards to the person who has the most organized books, or cutting-edge technology, or even the most on-time, on-budget projects. They simply don't. Nobody tells you this, but the company's really not in business to do those things. Now, of course, those things need to happen for the business to succeed, but that's not why the business exists. Each of those things is a means to an end. Now, what's the end? The end is the why behind the business. Why does the business exist? So here's what you need to know in order to increase your influence and to really, really grow. Technical skill is an important area of knowledge, but you have to add two other areas: business knowledge and people skills. So on the technical knowledge front, you already know this. You've studied this for years, and you've spent years preparing for this, so you've got that one totally covered. But let's talk about the other two, business knowledge and people knowledge. So on the business front, what does your business do? Who do you serve? Why does your company exist? And what does your company really, really value? And then people knowledge. Now, I want to be clear about this. It's not just politics or sucking up to the bosses. How can you really begin to influence those people around you? This is a learnable skill, and just a few key ideas can lead to results that you can't even imagine. So let me just say that when you begin to expand your knowledge beyond technical skill and into these other two areas, you're going to start to see some incredible things happening. And what's really cool, it's not going to take very long. You'll start to see why things happen the way they do. And then you can take advantage of those patterns and trends to make your career grow, to make your team even more successful. Now, in the next videos, I'm going to talk more about these areas with some specific, actionable things that you can do to begin to stretch into these areas. Now, I want to encourage you. You are on the right path, and I am so looking forward to going deeper with you in these areas. Now, be sure to stay tuned for all the videos, because I've got a special offer coming where I'm going to show you how you can take these ideas even further. So I just can't wait to share the next message with you, and it's coming soon. I'll see you next time. Now, while you're waiting, why don't you send me a note? I'd love to hear your thoughts about this concept about technical knowledge, business knowledge, and people skills. Send me an email at hotshot@brighthillgroup.com. hotshot@brighthillgroup.com. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.